Rev up your engines!
Toyota just made another major investment in Toyota, West Virginia, where they make hybrid transaxles for hybrid cars. Now, that's the thing. Toyota really is leading in hybrid. They have made hybrid cars for decades, and they know what they're doing. And now they're going to be making even more parts for them in West Virginia. Now, production of these new transactions is going to start in 2026. They got to finish building up the factory for it, and it'll be for North American assembled Toyota and Lexus models, which there's a lot of. As Toyota says, this is our 6th generation of hybrid transactions. Now, the investment that Toyota's putting in here includes the purchase and installation of new equipment. They're using the same plant, they're just upgrading. So, hey, Toyota's putting their money where their mouth is, building this hybrid stuff here in the United States, in West Virginia, where people need jobs. The coal mines have been shut down for quite some time, most of them. So, hey, good on Toyota. Well, Hyundai says they're now planning on collaborating with a steel mill in Louisiana. Maybe some of this tariff stuff's working. They say they're going to make steel in Louisiana, get involved in it, so they don't have to bring it from Korea. Now, Koreans make a lot of steel. Hilariously enough, baseball park in Houston, Texas, downtown, the newer one. I remember when it didn't even exist. That shows how old I am now. God knows it's probably 20, 30 years old now. But it was all made with Hyundai steel. People made a big stink about it, right? This factory has an annual capacity of 2.7 million tons of steel a year. It's a lot of steel, right? This is all part of Hyundai's planned $21 billion investment in the United States in factory. They realize, hey, if we're selling them in the United States, you're going to have to start making some of this stuff here. So, who knows? Maybe some of this tariff stuff's working, right? Well, I mean, let's face the facts. Honda's been making cars in Ohio for 3 decades. Toyota's been making them all over the United States for decades, too. Hey, it only makes sense. If you sell them here, you ought to make some of the stuff here so people don't get mad. Well, Trump says now the lower tariffs depend on China. He says they got to come back and lower it, right? Now, this is happening while the United States, individual states, are suing over the trade war. Trump says this trade war depends on them. We have a situation where we have a very, very great place. It's called the United States of America, and it's been ripped off for years and years. It's the American laws that allowed it. They allowed these companies to move their manufacturing overseas, to buy cheaper stuff from overseas and still make it here. But hilariously, at the same time, a group of 12 U.S. states, including Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Illinois, and New York, filed a lawsuit challenging Trump's authority to even impose the tariffs without the approval of the U.S. Congress. They say that that's illegal, that it's unconstitutional, and has brought chaos to the American economy. Well, it certainly brought some kind of chaos, right? The Arizona Attorney General said President Trump's massive tariff scheme is not only economically reckless, it's illegal. Arizona cannot afford President Trump's tariffs. So now states are suing. Trump's been involved in so many legal suits, I guess he doesn't care what he shakes up. You know, the lawyers are having a field day. Hey, I'm sure all the lawyers must have voted for Trump. They're making all kinds of money now. Everybody's suing everybody, right? Let me tell you something. That never solves a problem going to court. All it does is pay the lawyers a lot of money, and then everything just becomes a gigantic mess. And then if one side wins, then the other side counters and says, I'm going to take it to another court, and then they sue it some more. And it goes on for years and years and years. Like that woman who was suing Tesla for wrongful firing because she was a whistleblower, and they went to court for 5 years, and then they said, oh, she loses, but then another court said she wins, but when they said she won, they threw the other one out and they start over from scratch. So after 5 years, she's right back where she started from, right? So, you know, maybe going to court isn't the answer. Well, Motor Trend, this big car magazine, has a Ford Maverick hybrid, and they're kind of wondering about it because, as they say, and I quote, the recalls keep coming for our Ford Maverick hybrid. They're on the fence. They like some parts of it, but as they said, we can almost set our clocks on the arrival of notices from Ford regarding our compact pickup truck. They keep getting recalls for it. Hey, I warn people, why would you make a hybrid complex vehicle in Mexico? Well, Ford does it because it's cheaper to make them. That's all they care about. The quality doesn't exist in Mexico. I don't care what anybody says. They have gotten 10 notices on this one vehicle that they have. 10. And they say, hey, we can't remember any long-term vehicle that has this many. Hilariously enough, Most of these recalls, they fixed them by software updates. And they even had one software update, but then they had to update that software update in another recall because the first update didn't work. Well, let me tell you, updates don't work. Look what Ford did with those diesels, right? They had the bad pump, and it could blow up, destroy the engine. Ram had the same pump, they replaced the pumps. But Ford, no, we're doing a software upgrade, so that'll fix it. A software upgrade is not going to fix a big mechanical pump, right, that has thousands of pounds of pressure in it. No, that's not going to fix it. They just think, oh, well, we'll do this first. They're not doing the right thing. And here, can you imagine you bought a vehicle and you get 10 recalls within getting it? In a very short period of time? Hey, really make you wonder about the quality, right? And most of the fixes are software fixes. Hey, come on now, Ford. You're not fooling anybody, right? Certainly not fooling me, and now you're not fooling any of my audience either. Fix them, right? Software updates don't fix these things, right? And if it needs all these software, hey, maybe hire somebody who knows how to write software and don't do it in Mexico. Well, Elon Musk's robo-taxi fantasy is starting to unravel for a long time. He's promised, oh yeah, they're going to have robo-taxis. You know, you can buy one, make a fortune. It'll drive around and collect money for you. Well, the other night, Elon Musk did it again. He promised that millions of autonomous Tesla vehicles will be on the road by the end of next year. The crucial point here is next year. It's always next. It's coming next. It actually never comes, but now every year since at least 2020, old Elon said, oh, well, full self-driving is going to be here. Of course, it's not here. He promises a lot of stuff, you know? He's kind of like, kid, I promise I'll clean up my room. Never cleans up the room, right? But he's promising things. Forget that the stock's going down. Forget that this global trade war is a giant mess. Now, what is he doing? He's going in a future based on self-driving cars and millions of robots. Remember his robots, which are pretty much a dismal failure too. I guess he watched too many episodes of the Jetsons when he was young, I don't know. And of course, his autonomous self-driving is based on camera. Other companies using lasers, radar, a combination of it, LiDAR they call it, right? He's just stuck on the camera thing, right? Well, let's face the facts. What if it's foggy outside, right? Cameras don't work that good. They get obscured, people. I drove a Mazda 1 that had sensors on it, and they all got blocked up when it snowed and sleet came down when I was driving through New Mexico in a rental car, right? And it says, warning, self-driving helps aren't going to work very well. Be very careful. Drive the car yourself, right? Basically what it's telling you. You know, I don't hold much truth in his. There are going to be millions of these autonomous things driving around as robo-taxis. He's really running out of rabbits to pull out of his hat. Well, there's a new twin-turbo V8 engine out now. Most people think, wow, I thought people were getting rid of gasoline engines, especially V8. And you might be surprised who's making it. It is Genesis, Korean company, right? There's only one problem. It's only in a race car. They're planning on having Genesis Magna Racing and their first car, which is going to call the GMR 001, what a stupid name, and it's going to be in the World Endurance Champ. So you can't actually buy this thing. I always find it hilarious that, you know, they always say, well, the race car development, it filters down, it trickles down to our regular cars. Well, hey, they're more or less getting rid of V8 engines, right? So the idea that they're making one, they're just making it to win a race. It's not something that you're ever going to be able to buy in a car. And really, for a twin turbo, it doesn't put out that much horsepower. The maximum horsepower output is only 630 horsepower for these races. They have limitations on all the races, so they're not driving around at 6,000 horsepower machines with people killing themselves all the time. There's already V8s out there that put out well over that aren't even turbocharged. So, yeah, an interesting little sideline. Yeah, they're working on a new dual turbocharged car, but hey, it's kind of dinosaur technology these days. We're not going to be using it in our regular cars. Engines are getting smaller. They're not getting bigger. And as usual, the race cars are just another world of rich people racing cars around. Racing is a dying thing. If you follow any of this stuff, car racing is a dying sport. NASCAR, they're cutting seats at their stadiums because they can't sell the tickets. Hardly any young people follow racing at all. And when all the oldsters have conked out, there won't be much racing left. Maybe they'll go to flying flying car racing and people will like it. I don't know. Well, the Chinese battery company CATL says they now have actual 5-minute EV charging batteries. And they also say that they have batteries that are going to last so much longer. And it's not something in the future. It's a setup they're already starting to build. They call it the Naxtra battery. And it's the first mass-produced sodium-ion battery in the world. It's called the Free-Void Dual Power Battery. They combined that battery with the older style batteries so they get the best of both worlds. It can have 10,000 plus charge cycles. To compare that, Tesla's lithium iron phosphate battery packs are rated about 3,000 to 4,000 charge cycles. So they last more than twice as long. They say that after 200,000 miles, the Tesla batteries have averaged about 15% loss of power. To lose that same amount of power, 15%, with these new Chinese CATL batteries, would take 3.6 million miles. Well, 200,000 miles versus 3.6 million miles to lose 15%. That's a gigantic differential. Now, they're actually making these things. Now, are they really going to last? Let's have them go in the real world. We're going to have to test them over the years and all these miles to see what happens, right? This isn't an experiment in a laboratory. They actually have them in cars now. But, like I say, let's see what happens. Will they really go 3.2 million miles? Hey, if they do, it's a radical game changer for electric vehicles. And the fact that they say they can charge them up in 5 minutes, if that's the case, if you can charge them up in 5 minutes, and it doesn't degrade them faster, which is a big deal, that would be a game changer too. This is why I say don't buy an electric car now. Maybe in the future, maybe these CATL batteries will work. I'd say wait at least 5-6 years to see how long they actually last, right? Don't go out and buy one now. You can't because it's Chinese. They only sell them in China. But still, always wait until you see the technology is working, because this is out now, but it's brand new. Maybe it'll all fall apart. Maybe it won't. If it doesn't, electric cars have a much better chance of being accepted, especially if you get longer range with them. Well, here's some of the shortest lived car companies in history. You might know some of them you may never even heard of. Well, we all heard of Fisker, that electric car company, right? They made the Fisker Ocean from 2022 to 2024. 2 years there. And it is an electric car company. I expected a lot of them to fail. Now, another one was the Geo. Remember the Geo Tracker? Or the Geo Storm that went from 1990 to 1993? Or maybe the Geo Metro. They went from 89 to 97. Geo was a partnership, though, between GM and other Japanese manufacturers like Suzuki and Isuzu. Now, the problem was some of those things were 3-cylinder engines. They couldn't meet the American demand. Plus, Americans are never that big on small cars, right? Especially since Americans are all driving around automatic transmissions. These small cars with automatic, you get in a Geo Metro with an automatic transmission, it can barely get out of its own way. So that's no surprise that it went under fast too. Now, another one is called DMC. We all know it as DeLorean. From 1975 to 82, they made those stupid things, and then they went out of business. Then there was the Merkur, which was a strange conglomeration. I guess Ford didn't want to call it Mercury, so they called it Merkur. Those things were rolling piles of junk. You could never get parts for them because the Ford guy said, well, that's a German car, and the German guy said, that's a Ford. Nobody knew how to fix them. We couldn't get parts for them. That's no surprise. Now, here's one you probably never heard of, the Amati. Now, that was Mazda's attempt to go luxury. Toyota went Lexus. Honda went Acura. Well, Mazda thought they were going to make the Amati. You probably never seen one. I've never even seen one. I'm a mechanic, right? They lasted a couple of years. And of course, the famous one that most people know about because of the movie, The Tucker. It was 1948. They did some really innovative things, front-wheel drive, some stuff, but they couldn't compete with the big three back in those days. Then there was the Sterling. The British decided to make what they called the Sterling, kind of like the pound sterling, right? Now, it was Rover, so they thought, oh, we'll go to the American luxury market. Well, basically, they had Honda V6 engines in them, and they were kind of like rebranded Acura Legends, except not well-made like the Acura Legends, because they were actually made in Britain. For example, their 827 Sterling went from 1989 to 1991. And guess why they failed? Lack of quality control. They may have had Honda engines in them, but man, the British were putting them together and they were crap in those days. That was 58 to 60, a gigantic flop. Strangely enough, the collector's items now. Americans will buy anything. And of course, there's always the Brickland. That went from 1974 to 1975. That was just another massive failure. So there's some cars that some of them you probably never heard of, but they failed after just a few years. Well, get this. EV chargers now outnumber gas pumps in California. Governor Gavin Newsom recently announced that California now has 178,000 public and shared private EV chargers. Public and private. This is so hilarious, right? They're trying to lump everything in. They say that these 178,549 public and shared private chargers goes past the state's approximately 120,000 gasoline nozzles. That's what he says. But here's the hilarious thing. Out of all these chargers, 178,000, over 162,000 are only level 2 chargers. Now, level 2 chargers take a long time to charge up your car. Right? If you want to charge up your car, I charged up a Tesla that was at 20%, and it made it to 80% with my level 2 charger, and it took 9 hours. Who's going to be waiting that long, right? Now, only of all these 189,000, only 17,000 are the fast chargers that actually charge them up quickly, right? They're bragging about this. Oh, yeah, how'd you like to be driving down the highway? You need electricity. Well, I got to plug it in here for 8 hours. I don't know what we're going to do for the next 8 hours. But they're always bragging about the stupidest crap in California, right? No one would buy electric cars if the fastest you could charge them up was 8 or 9 hours with one of those level 2 chargers. And let's say you had a Ford Lightning F-150 electric truck or a Hummer electric vehicle. It'd probably take 18 hours to charge that thing up, right? Nobody's got that kind of time, right? They just want to keep fantasizing that this is the future. Oh, California has all these chargers. But they're the little baby ones. They're not the big ones. Imagine if you went to a gas station, they said, it's going to take 8 hours to fill your car with gasoline. Our pumps are working kind of slow today. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.